What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mark Show. We're back here to discuss the 30 for 30 Lance Armstrong documentary. It's me, your boy, Daniel Marks. I'm here with Bob Turnip, and we're going to discuss episode 2, part 2 of the documentary about Lance Armstrong, of course. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Honestly, it was a very interesting episode, and it really did show his pettiness. It really showed his grudge, the grudges he has with people, So that was very interesting that after all these years, he has the biggest grudge for one person that we could talk about later, the biggest grudge, which I thought was hilarious. Of course, my phone will ring during this time. But yes, the biggest grudge ever. But honestly, one thing I didn't know about, I didn't know he had a son. I didn't know that. I thought he had all girls.
Yeah. No. Luke was born, and he wasn't even supposed to be born because of his testicular cancer. And they did some before he went into surgery. They did some insemination, and it was at that time an experiment.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that that became a game changer in the cancer world. I was happy to see that they alluded to that.
Yeah.
Because he made a huge difference and impact in the cancer community.
Yeah. When they talked to, again, did you know the girl that they talked about that had cancer and she had kids after cancer, and she, I guess, read about what Lance did prior to the cancer, like through a news article. You know what I'm talking about? That lady.
I've heard stories about her, but I don't know her directly.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that story is well heralded.
Yeah. But I ain't gonna lie, one thing I thought was funny is when he was talking at Rice, he didn't know his son's football number. I was dying laughing at that. Now that's typical dad right there. That's like, what? He said number 48. He's like, "Damn, my number, Dad. It's 35."
He's number 30.
Oh my God. He's like, "What? It's not 40. It's not 48." He's like, "No, Dad, it's 35." He's like, "Oh, whatever." That's typical dad stuff right there. Like, whatever.
Yeah, Luke's actually a really interesting individual, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
He really took. He talked about it. He went far away from the bikes.
Yes.
Far from all that.
He had to, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Even if Lance was legit, how do you become that prodigy?
Yeah. Yeah, and everything they talked about from, I guess he don't live in Austin anymore. So
No.
he sold that. I guess he sold the house that he had a couple of years ago for the settlement.
No, well, okay, so he had, when he was living in Austin, he over the course of time has had 5 houses.
Okay.
When this he had the house on the lake, what we talked about last week.
Uh-huh.
Before that, he had a house on Shoal Creek.
Yeah.
Then he went to the hills, and that's where last week we talked about the Italian designer actually coming in and designing the whole house.
Mm-hmm.
When it all went down, he sold that house and bought another house over there on Enfield in Austin.
Okay.
And also bought the house in Aspen that's his home now. And he has a small house. Well, for him, a small house, but here in Austin, that on the 15 and 20% of the time he's here, he stays at.
Yeah. So the house he's in Aspen with his fiance or whatever, that's the house. That's his main house now. That's where he lives at, pretty much.
That's his home record, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense now, especially when the interviewer asked him about the whole snow thing. And he's like, I hate the snow or whatever. I was trying to figure out, okay, did he move? Like, okay, it makes sense now. Makes sense.
Most all of the interviews with him were in that house in Aspen.
Oh, so how I wonder how long ago was this done? Was this filmed a year ago? You think 2 years ago, maybe?
They've been filming this for 18 months.
Okay, year and a half. Okay, okay, that's not
You
gonna
know,
be.
preparing for the pandemic.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So pretty interesting. And of course, they had to get to the to what you are known being part of, the Livestrong Foundation and stuff. And I remember talking to Christina about that, that this episode was going to deal with that, a lot of it too, especially the wristbands. And she didn't realize, because I remember the wristbands being the hottest thing ever. I remember that
Mm-hmm.
when I was in high school, I remember like going online and trying to order them, but there was such a back order of them. And then not just that, you had to order so many of them. You couldn't just order one. You had to order
Minimum of 10.
Yes, because you get together and then you just give them out to people, whatever, that kind of deal. So yeah, I remember that. And she's like, she don't remember that. I remember that.
I still have one of the original ones with the Nike swoosh on it.
Oh, that's awesome. You have it in the bag still?
No. I have it. I have it somewhere around here. I actually have a closet full of them. Interesting side story about the bands. In what is a small world, my wife's best friend in college actually invented the yellow band.
Really?
Yes. In fact, last night, when they did the check for $25 million from Nike, I put it on freeze and I called her into the room and I said, "Is that your boy Scotty?" And sure enough, it was.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I remember up until the point of when everything went south, when I used to be the manager of Finish Line Shoe Store in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And, working in a shoe store is all about doing the add-ons. You buy your shoes, but then we sell you the laces, the cleaner, or whatever, that kind of deal. And so the big one we will always sell is the Livestrong bands because it's only $1. So it's hey, it's for a good cause. Just add on. It's an add-on. It's helping us out. So we will always sell the Livestrong bands to any customer that come in because we would have like a little bucket on the counter and say, hey, you want anything else? No. Say, hey, you want Livestrong bands? Only $1. And they're like, yeah, sure, I'll take that. Whatever. It's for a good cause. Cool. So yes.
I actually have in my closet and in the master bedroom a bunch of the custom-made Livestrong shoes that Lance actually wore in the tour and wore in all of his public appearances.
Actually, so I actually have a pair of Livestrong, some Nikes, Livestrong. It was oh my God, I gotta break them out one day. Like they have to be at least at least 10 to 11 years old. I know I have them somewhere in one of my shoe bins in the garage, but one day I'm gonna break them out. I'm gonna wear them to work, and I'm gonna show you what they look like. Or take a picture of them because they're so cool. Because pretty much it's an all black shoe, and the only thing yellow is the actual foam on the bottom of the shoe. It's like the foam like this thick. It's like on the heel it's like this thick, but it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And of course, on the tongue is the Livestrong logo. That's it. The rest of the shoe is black. So I bought those when I was manager of Finish Line because it was like limited, exclusive to Finish Line. And so I just had to have those shoes. Like I had nothing black and yellow. I just wore them because it was Livestrong. It was so cool on those shoes. So I thought it was awesome. But yeah, so I know I said we were talking about it for us a little bit last week that you worked for Livestrong. So can you talk about that, or like just kind of about your experiences, working there for that so many years and what you saw, the good and bad, or your point of view?
Well, I didn't necessarily work for them.
Okay.
Well, I was a volunteer, and Lance started a program called the Live Strong Leadership Program, and we were basically advocates of the foundation. And what we did was we went to the communities that we served, whether it be zip code, social media, neighborhoods, things of that nature, and talked about the missions that we were seeking to let the public be aware of. I did that for 12 years. And in fact, ironically, I left because they got away from the core that Lance had implemented, and they got more strategic, and everything changes. It's a given. But when they kind of got away from the navigation and helping people with the problems that they have today, that's when I decided it was time for me to leave, because that, which is another story, is near and dear to me, how it affects you today and how it help you today, versus research and funds and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's crazy how everything just skyrocketed for him. And and he said himself, it was very smart of him to separate the two when it came to money and income, because he had to do. Lucky he did. Thank God he didn't put the money into him and payments. Everything they did, all that money went to Live Strong and went to the foundation, which thank God he did. Because if it didn't, everything would have been worse than what it was.
Well, that's where the proof's in the pudding. Us old timers with Live Strong are beyond advocates of Lance coming back since the day he left, regardless of what the public thinks. I know it was a difficult decision that had to be made, but like to his point last night, hey, put me in timeout.
Yeah.
Don't take it away. And the one profound thing in knowing the whole story, and when I say the whole story, I mean the whole story, from the doping to the cover-ups to everything. One profound thing that I've never heard him say before in person that I thought was interesting was that he should have separated cancer and the biking. But he did, after that, say that he did use the cancer to his advantage.
Yeah. He used it as a shield. Yeah. That was crazy. And you're right. The way they should have put him in timeout. Say, hey, we're gonna put you in timeout for a year. Let this die down for a year. Then after that, we'll come back and stronger, better than ever, kind of deal. Because that was his baby, and they just took it from him, which sucks. And you could tell he's still angry to this day about it. He's still mad about it to this day.
Well, that goes back to, remember last week I talked about LAF, the Lance Armstrong Foundation, and when selling the foundation, or they wouldn't let him, they would sell to him the LAF.
Yeah.
He in turn created a team, Lance and Friends. Yes, that's something that he's to this day, and rightfully so, bitter about.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. From watching the videos about it and him talking about it, you could tell he had a passion for it. You could see in his face, in his eyes, he had a passion for it. And then they just ripped it from him. And I'm like, man, that does suck. It really does suck.
Well, there were two truths that I saw last night, or during this whole series, that I thought were completely accurate. There's only two things that really hurt him: doping, and that was when he went on Oprah and talked about Luke and how it was going to affect Luke.
Yeah.
He teared up and taken the foundation away from him. Because if you remember last week, he looked in the camera and said, I didn't know the difference between a large testicle and a small testicle, but now I do. And moving forward, everybody else is.
Yeah. Yeah. That Oprah interview was pretty. He knew the shit was going to hit the fan. He knew it from the start. So hey, so he's like, screw it. I just gotta come clean. I just have to. But I remember that interview. I remember watching pieces of it here and there. But and you know, he he broke a lot of people's hearts. He broke all American hearts, all Texans' hearts. He broke them all with coming out clean because it had to be done. So you know, there's nothing you can do about it now. And he even said himself, I think it was toward
Yeah,
the end.
everybody but Floyd Landis.
Oh God, oh my God, that Lord have mercy. Oh, that right there. So okay, Floyd Landis. First of all, I didn't know he got so big. Like he was small, but that man is huge now.
You know
Like
what you know what he sells now, don't you?
what is it? Sandwiches or something? It's like you said a diner.
No, no, he CBD products in Colorado.
Uh,
He
okay,
owns the fields, brews them, and sells it.
I ain't gonna lie. I thought it was hilarious when he said, what did the interview say? Interviewer asked
It
about,
could here. I wrote it down.
please say, because it was hilarious.
It could be worse. Being Floyd Landis, he is a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's so. And what did the interviewer say? Something about, are you talking about waking up in the morning like Floyd Landis? It says something about waking up in the morning being like Floyd said, yeah, wake up every morning knowing like I'm a piece of shit. I was like, oh, that shit was hilarious. Oh,
That
hey,
was so freaking Lance. Let me tell you.
yes, you can,
I literally wrote it down. Oh my god!
yes, yes. He's or no. The interviewer said, "What is the worst thing about was it Linsville, Colorado, or what city he lived in? Leadville, something like that?"
Vale. He lives in Vale.
Yes, he's like, "Oh man, that was hilarious. That really was." And he said it with a straight face, and because he was serious when he said
Oh,
it.
he was dead.
Oh, he
No,
said it
no,
with a
he
straight. Oh. Like he listened to the camera was serious. Like yes, piece of shit. Yes, yes. Every morning.
he just felt that lens zoom in.
It was. And then they show him, and they show
I
Landis
mean,
like,
and no one.
"Oh, you go ahead." Oh
I
man,
was gonna say, oh man. I mean, I was just like, oh my god, that is so Lance.
yeah, that was so funny. Like they well, I remember listening to an interview on ESPN radio. They was talking to Floyd Landis. It was maybe last week, I think. Um, and he says that well on ESPN radio, he was saying that the only time he thinks about cycling is when everything is brought up by other people. Other than that,
Yeah,
it never comes to his mind ever again. Never. Like it's only
yeah.
because people mention Lance, people mention cycling, whatever. All of a sudden, everything comes back to him, rushing to him about what happened, and he's like, you know,
Well, the funny thing is that I mean, when you talk about Floyd Landis, I mean, the most hysterical thing about it, really, when you stop and you really think about it, first of all, um, what they said about bringing Floyd on Team Radio Shack was spot on. You're dirty.
yeah,
We associated with you, but the funniest thing is that Floyd saw Lance cheating for years. I mean,
hmm
right there on the bus with him.
yeah,
Lance retires, and Floyd Landis thinks that he could just pull a quick one. That the first year that Lance doesn't ride. Well, if he won hot, I can win hot, dude. You're not Lance Armstrong.
no, not even close, nowhere near it, nowhere near it. Yeah, because like he even said himself, he's like, man, I thought we had like a mob thing going on where, yeah, you take care of me, I take care of you. It's like, no, dude, you're hot. I can't, no, you can't be part of this. Sorry. Like, no, we done with you. Like, wow. That,
Oh, and believe me, I've met all the players in that whole thing, and they all knew it was going down soon thereafter.
yeah. It's,
And
it,
and,
it,
and
it was
really,
it was a matter of not who but when was going to happen because we all knew who's going to bring
yeah,
them down. It's just a matter of
yeah, and
when.
the biggest, the secret would it's still, the secret would still be in Pandora's box if he didn't come back. If he hadn't come back, then there would have never been the Floyd Landis
Oh,
station.
so that was my thing. When I was watching it, I was like, why did he come back? Like, you got away with it pretty much. You got away with it. Literally, you were scotch free.
We
And like, wow. And when he saw, was it a Frenchman or a German that won it? He's like, this guy won? This guy? This guy's nothing. I'm coming back. If he could come, if he could win it, I could win it. And
yeah, but
I think
the one thing that I
the
never
his ego got involved there. That was his downfall.
very clearly, because up until last night, I'd never heard the story about him thinking that he should not come back after he was warned. He was warned by the Tour de France. If you come back, you're going to get torched.
Yes, they told him. They let that
His,
dude don't come back. Like, dude, if you come back, they on your ass. They're gonna get some, they're gonna get you. Them dogs gonna let. He said, well, the dogs will be let loose, and they was. And he did heed their warning. They
yeah.
did not at all come heeded. I was like, oh my god, dude, you, that was there. That was, oh my god, that was just,
Well, if that doesn't tell you the level of his ego, where
yeah,
he even admitted he wanted to not, but I mean, I was like, wow, I'd never known that before. I didn't know he was warned.
yeah. But look, by two people, wasn't it? The president of
Yes,
the UCI and somebody else told him, said, "Dude, don't come
at the
back."
head of the. Yeah, I mean, I'm astonished that he came back after hearing that.
Yeah, that was crazy. And but that Floyd Landis stuff, that was hysterical. That really was that pettiness, that anger. And even when I guess he was doing a interview, and that guy asked him, "Hey, what is Landis and what Scotty's relationship?" He said, "I'm cool with Scotty. You know, we're cool. Landis, I'm not there yet." And you could tell he's never going to be there. He doesn't want to go there with the relationship with Landis. He does not. That's over. That relationship is done.
Oh, he won't ever. I mean, all those other guys drop dimes on him. He still does stuff with Hancappy. He still does stuff. I mean, with all those guys.
Yeah.
There's two teammates he will not touch. I don't care if it was a saving life need, and that'd be Tyler Hamilton and Floyd Landis, because they
Yeah.
brought him down.
Yes. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And well, hell, the next person on the list, and he even said himself he regrets doing this was Emma O'Reilly. So,
Yeah,
so,
Emma Riley.
so tell me about. So please explain like what happened with that because I'm still I'm confused about she was a trainer, right, for the cyclist? Was she?
Correct.
So
Emma.
what happened with that situation?
So Emma felt very strongly about the doping because
Uh-huh.
she was a masseuse, and
Okay.
masseuse, those are the Zen, the all natural, all
Yeah.
being kind of thing. So when she left the team on her own terms,
Hmm.
she met with the reporter Tom Walsh from
Okay.
England,
Yeah.
and she spilled the beans to Tom, thinking it was part of a story of the biking industry.
Oh, okay.
Tom Walsh decided he was going to write the article about Lance. So
Okay.
all of her evidence, and for the longest time, I mean, the two big kingpins in taking Lance down ultimately were Emma and Tom Welsh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where she even alluded to it last night, where she said, once I realized that I'd given too much information and where the book was going, it was too
late. It was too late. Yeah, I did see that, and he even said himself he would regret calling her a whore on national television and stuff like. That's the one thing he would regret more than anything is what he said about her.
but I don't, and knowing the history, I'm really surprised. Do you remember them talking the last two episodes about Frankie Andrew and his wife Betsy?
Yes, about uh, the, the
Now,
the first time we had cancer and the doctor asked him, "Hey, what are you taking?" and he just spilled the beans.
yeah, she
Cortisone, whatever, EOP, I'm sorry, EPO, and he was just naming them off. He's like literally naming every single one of them off.
well, ironically, in the grand scheme of things, she really is the Lex Luthor in the whole story. And truth be known, I believe, while he believes that and regrets the most with Emma O'Reilly,
Mm-hmm.
the one he hates the most is Betsy.
I can see that.
Betsy is, in the biking world, you bring up Betsy Andrews' name, and the conversation gets quiet.
But but why is that? Like all she was a cyclist's wife. Did she
Yeah,
have that much? Did she just have that much not power, but was she that well known by other cyclists to be?
no, not really that well known, but she, Frank, what? Let's put it this way: she's anti-doping, period. And her husband Frankie was on the U.S. Post team and won a stage in the Tour de France. And the second he won, she realized he was doping. And when he called with the big hip parade call, I just won the Tour de France tour, or not the tour, but a stage.
Mm-hmm.
Her first words were, "You've been doping."
So
And
I'm guessing that's why they got divorced.
they're not divorced.
Oh, they're not?
No, no. I mean, they kind of allude to it, but they don't really go into details. Lance ruined Frankie's career, because when Lance kicked him off the cycling team and then went to do a television commentator, Lance got Frankie fired.
Oh, wow.
So Betsy's big vendetta is the fact that Lance blackballed him, and
Wow. Okay.
Betsy doesn't know how to tie her tongue, so to say. She just went off.
I could see I could see her being that kind of person. Just let it go. Just like this. Just chit chat.
Yeah,
Just talk.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So Betsy's actually the like I said, the villain in the whole story, and I'm really surprised. I'm surprised about two things with the second episode. One, that they really didn't hammer Lance. I really thought that they were going to hammer him, and I was really glad to see that they highlighted everything that he'd done for cancer, regardless of what happened with Livestrong. And two, that Lance didn't hammer Betsy more.
Yeah. Another thing I was surprised about, they didn't. I bet you anything they asked her to be interviewed and she declined probably very quickly. Was Cheryl his ex
Sheryl Crow.
Cheryl Crow? Yes.
Yeah, man, I was at Lance's birthday party. His guess it would have been his 40th birthday party, and she bought him a black '68 Camaro for his birthday.
Oh
And
wow.
Lance still has that Camaro.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I think that's when I kind of known about Lance and everything, and I kind of did more into it, is when he was actually dating Sheryl Crow. Like his first wife, I didn't know too much about her, but when he became popular, you knew, but oh, Lance is dating Sheryl Crow. Like, oh, okay, okay, I can see that. But when he said that he wasn't happy due most of that relationship, I was like, wow, that sucked. And
He
he's
was
like,
pretty,
he
you
let it
know,
go on way too long. I was like, damn, dude, really? Like, wow, I was damn. I was shocked with
you
him
know,
when he did that.
man, I can tell you, if Lance isn't in the middle of competition and in the middle of captivating the crowd around him, he's not really happy. So I got that didn't surprise me because when he retired, he was just living a celebrity life. But
Yeah,
that's something he'd already gained. He wasn't there was no momentum in his life at that.
yeah,
And really the only thing that was the relationship.
yeah. Because, like you said, with the whole celebrity portion, I remember seeing him and Matthew McConaughey around Austin all the time. They was bored. They hung out all the time.
Man, if I told you how many times I was at the same party with Matthew McConaughey back in the day, and
I
one of the
believe
most
you.
and one of the most disappointing things, to be quite frank, is I love Matthew McConaughey because he's pure Texan, and he gets a pass there. But in knowing and seeing the friendship that he shared with Lance at that time, and for him just to drop the friendship, I just it didn't sit well with me, and it still doesn't to this day.
So that's what happened. So once everything came out, that's when McConaughey just kind of like, I'm okay, I'm out.
Yeah, social distancing. I mean, I saw plenty of other celebrities at parties afterwards. Robin Williams didn't abandon him. Um, Ben Stiller didn't abandon him.
Yeah,
So I mean, just as much as they hung out, I just thought it was disgraceful for him to just let him fall off the radar, so to say.
yeah. Cause I remember, cause I'm not you right now. I'm not a UT fan at all, but I know watching the games when you see McConaughey on the sideline, Lance was right next to him every home game on the field on the sideline, and such. I remember seeing those games and seeing them together all the time, like all the time. Is
Hey, you know who the most loyal friend from the day is with Lance?
is it still college?
Well, college is, and that's always a given. But
Okay.
college is, yeah, no. In fact, did you get that message I sent you from college talking about last week's episode?
Yes, I got it.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
No, college is a given. But as far as celebrities go, Willie Nelson has stood behind Lance, and they share a very, very close friendship even to this day.
I can see that. I could totally see that with Willie Nelson.
Yeah, well, he doesn't care about dope.
Right? He, you know, he's all about being just chill, mellow. Hey man, I get it. It's life. It is what it is.
Yeah, funny story about that. I went to a party, would have been probably about 6 years ago, and Willie did the live music
Hmm.
in his backyard, and I left early because I'm up in Temple and the party was in Austin, so I left early and was like sober in the whole 9 yards. And Lance goes, why you? I went to say goodbye to Lance, and Willie was there, and I said, hey, I hate to interrupt, but I'm gonna take off. And he said, why? I said, well, man, I got an early morning tomorrow, and I just got to get home. And Willie Nelson sang me 3 lines of On the Road Again, a cappella.
Really? That's awesome. That's too
Man, what
cool.
I would not do to have smartphones, that you know, during this whole thing, the one thing that stuck out more than anything with all the memories is, my God, I wish I had a smartphone back then.
That's awesome. That have been too cool to be part of and hear. That's so cool. Because I know for you, you watching it, I know for definitely for you, a lot of memories came back. I already know it did when you was watching everything and the stuff that you know and you dealt with. I already knew it. Some stuff came back for you real easy, real quick.
A lot of things that I just had totally forgotten about. And for that, I'm really glad that they took the 4 hours like that, because yeah, there were a lot of memories that crop back up, during the heyday when it was all fun. And like I said, you don't have a smart camera during all that to capture it and look back. Like I can look back at my daughter's graduation.
Yeah.
Went through pictures and go, oh man, that was not very little of it I have pictures of.
That's awesome. That's crazy. Actually, someone commented. So if you get a chance, go look at the comments from our first review. Someone commented saying that they actually was at the very first Ride for the Roses, and they said they met a couple of the celebrity riders and like taking pictures and everything. So check the comment out when you get a chance.
I'm gonna have to, because I think without a doubt, all the fun, all the partying, all the just the whole 9 yards. My favorite is passing in my very first challenge, Chuck Norris, and yelling, coming up on the left, and looking and see it was Chuck and going, sir.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I do have a picture.
Oh, you can
I do have a picture that I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you a picture.
Okay.
And it's from the 2010 tour after his final ride.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent it to the leaders, and it was a picture on one of the big hotels that he rents every year on the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah.
And on the 2 flagpoles, even staff, is the French flag and the Texan flag. And he typed in, now that's fucking respect.
That's awesome. That's Lance. That's some Lance stuff that he would say he would do.
I'll send it to you. I mean, it's one of my favorites. I print it up and put it on my wall, but everybody be like, what is up with that? Not have enough guts to ask.
That's awesome. And actually, speaking of other countries, about France and French and everything like that, so was the relationship he had with John Ulick, or was it John Ulick? So I didn't know any of that about that guy, about what he went through. Him,
Yeah.
Lance had almost pretty much identical childhoods, pretty close to like everything that they went through was identical, was similar. Them being together, like the way he would treat Lance, and Lance respected that because that was his friend. Like he hated everybody else. Like, dude, he didn't say like, dude, what, you a bitch. Like, why you shake your hands? Like, oh, you a pussy, whatever, that kind of deal. But Ulick, he respected him to the core. Like, you could tell he cares for that man so much. And then when they mentioned that he actually got put into a mental institution, I was like, what? Like, what the hell happened? Like,
No, he just you know what? He just went off the deep end on drugs and alcohol to the point where he was totally on that.
Yeah.
because that is really the Lance that I know.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, if you're with him, he's with you.
Yeah.
If you're against him, he's against you.
Yes.
If you didn't watch that series and see that, then I don't think you captured the whole story.
Exactly. I shouldn't have held it. Like, and you could see it. Like, if you could see in his eyes. Like, if he cuts for you, that's your boy for life. But once y'all done, it's over. You just earned you an enemy for the rest of your life. It don't matter what's gonna happen. So I got that now. I see that now. So, but yeah.
And to be honest with you, last week when I showed that jersey,
Uh-huh.
that for me that was that same respect that, you know, he very few of us did he give those jerseys to,
Mhm.
and and assist in all our stuff at the Bo Bikes Bama. That's why that jersey's so special.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Like I said, I'm happy that you was able to relive some great memories and stuff and learn stuff you didn't know about. You know, like I didn't know almost any of that stuff. I just knew about Lance, what we see on TV, and a couple of the lawsuits, of course, and the things he went through. But a lot of his childhood from last week and stuff going on this week, the pettiness and how deep it runs. I mean, how deep it goes, and you know who he calls his real friends that's actually been there for him. This the whole thing. You know, it does put for me. It shows Lance in a different light a little bit, not a lot, but I could see. Okay, I get you now. I understand who you are a little bit more than just a seven in a row winner, uh, Tour de France champion, and the guy that pretty much lied to all of us and the lawsuits. I get it now. I see it now. So
Yeah, my favorite post is when I talk about it always on when he does something good. I always post it, and I always post the words, "That's the guy I know." Um, but on 10/2, which is the date he was diagnosed, I always post the same phrase that Dr. Reeves did last week. Them telling him he had a 30 to 50% chance, but really had maybe under 10.
yeah,
And that whole quote, I couldn't believe it, word for word, the whole thing through. On 10/2, the date he was diagnosed, every year, I do that exact phrase.
wow, that's awesome. That's some good stuff right there. Oh man, but other than that, I think we just covered pretty much the entire episode, entire the second part version of it. Everything that he went through toward the end, and honestly, I didn't know that he works when they showed the very end of it. He works for NBC. I didn't know that. He's an analyst, a special guest analyst for Tour de France. Tour de France.
Actually, it's not. Actually, it's not in conjunction. It's interesting. That's an interesting topic in itself, because he created his own brand afterwards called We Do, meaning like we do 100 miles. We do finish the race. We do.
So was that logo on his T-shirt he had?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And like the one with the arrow that was kind of crooked,
Yes.
that's the logo, meaning it's not a straight line. You start the race and it goes off course before you can see the finish.
Good to know.
Anyway,
I didn't know that.
yeah, and part of the We Do brand is a podcast called The Move.
Yeah.
And what he does is he covers, like during the Tour de France, every day he does a podcast with one of the big DJs in Austin. His name slips my mind for some reason right now, but they do a podcast about the stage that day. And what's interesting about it is it's not about the race. It's about Lance's experiences and knowledge of that course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's some
But,
good stuff. All right,
so,
he knows that course very well. So
and the UCI tried to take that show away from him because they said he was still profiting from bicycling. Ain't that that's a crock of shit.
come on, dude, really? Come on, it's a podcast. They're not a syndicated radio show. It's a podcast. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, the other Lex Luthor is Tiger, who they interviewed
mm-hmm.
with it wasn't with UCI, it's with the USA Bicycling.
Yes.
Those are the picked up and said, we'll take it from here, and basically went out to the other riders and said, you work with us, we'll cut you some slack. They knew Lance wasn't going to talk.
Nope. No, not. Of course not. Of course not. But overall, I actually enjoyed both parts. I know there's a lot more we could have talked about, of course, but it would have been nice to kind of go in depth on other things. But 2 parts, 4 hours total. I think it was the right amount of time of able to explain most of his life, childhood,
Well, I think,
middle, and end.
yeah, and I think it gained more traction coming behind The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Because it was a true fall in line 30 for 30 that America was already hooked on.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was really glad to see that that's what followed The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways, take the doping into account and everything, Lance is really right there with Michael. And he even said it before he took the dive. That's where he was at.
Yeah. Yep.
The LeBrons, the Michaels.
Yeah. He was at that level. So yeah, you're right. He did say that. So, but overall, I actually, like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. So hopefully we get another good 30 for 30 coming up soon. Of course, it's Bruce Lee. So that's a whole different story kind of deal. But for Lance, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the 4 hours. So I know you did. I already know that.
I'm enjoying all this 30 for 30. I'm looking forward to the Sosa McGuire summer. I'm really glad to see ESPN is playing such a great programming and bringing stuff in to actually break up the regames and all that stuff. I mean, it's something new. It's something refreshed. It's something that takes us back.
Yeah, oh boy. Sosa McGuire. Oh boy. I was in high school when that happened. I remember all of that. Ooh. That's a whole different conversation. That's a whole different conversation we can have with that one. That particular year, that 1 year. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So
it's all good.
yes, sir. Well, guys, that's it. We're done. This is pretty much the end of us talking about the Lance Armstrong 30 for 30 documentary. So if you guys like this video, give us a thumbs up. You see on the screen right now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with other people. And that's it. So don't know if we'll do any more 30 for 30s. I may do another one. Who knows? Anything's possible because we're all quarantined, stuck at home. So you may need to see another video. But where's my baby Zoe? We'll see you next time. Peace.